What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Phantom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am here with Anthony and Mike, and we are discussing the season 2 finale of Shadow and Bone. And damn, this finale got here quick.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
did.
I
And
realized all the episodes released on the same day, and we've been like stewing on this and discussing this for weeks now, but still, it feels quick. It almost feels like we just started discussing this like not too long ago. But
man, there's so much going on in this episode too. Like, geez, like all the storylines converged and had their own little things going on, and then they went in a completely different direction at the end. And then at the very end, it's like, what the fuck? Like, for real, like that's her smile. I still see in my dreams. I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Nah. First off, you summoned the dark scythe or whatever the fuck it is, and then you smile because you could do it. Oh, god damn. See, it goes back to how me and Anthony were saying this is gonna end, and I'm like, yeah, it's a wrap. That's exactly how it's gonna happen.
yeah, y'all were just a little backward on the details because she didn't die in Mal's arms, he died in hers.
No, it's gonna
That's
happen.
it's gonna happen though.
It's gonna
It's gonna
happen.
happen.
I
That
know.
is
one
going
Hundred
to
percent
be
gonna
the
happen.
end of the
100% gonna
thing.
happen.
100%.
Exactly like we said.
100%. And once again, I actually do appreciate the pacing. Like I really appreciated that the last few episodes have been quite snappy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we got to the end. It wasn't that long drawn out stuff from season one where all the stuff happens and like nothing moved forward. This time, we were moving. Things happen. You know,
We're
things
moving
got set
forward.
up for, I guess, the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they really did kind of set us up for two different series if you think about it. With the Grishaverse stuff happening in one, and then the Crows maybe happening in another, with an opportunity for both of those stories to converge again. But I think it looks like they're making it more separate now. Um, I just I don't know how you have the Crows without Inej. I don't know how that works. So,
Again, they never stay apart for long. I
yeah.
mean, shit, she already found her brother. She literally found her brother at
No,
the end. The
no, that
whole point of
hasn't.
her being on the boat was her finding her brother, and she found her brother. She's 100% getting ready to get back to the crows. And it's going to be like, and like Kaz is going to be like, oh, so you found your brother? He's like, yeah, he's fine. What's next?
They'll figure out a way to get her back. They'll either wait like 2 or 3 episodes and I found him and whatnot, and she'll be back. They
Yeah,
can't they can't do they can't do this that series without Inej. I
no,
would not
they
be
can't.
watching.
They
I will
can't.
not be watching. I just won't.
They can't. And I think, like I said, they have enough, or the way that they closed everything up towards the end, you can have your separate storylines, but that Jurda Purim storyline is going to be what brings them back together, because you have it showing up at Nikolai's coronation, but you also have Kaz telling Jesper and Nina and Wylan, hey, we have a new job. It's our most lucrative job yet, and it has to do with that same drug. So they can have their little mission over here, and then we can deal with Alina and her stuff over here, and then eventually they can still bring it back. So, but I think, I was talking to my daughter. I told y'all my daughter, she watches the show. She's read the Grisha verse books. I don't know if she's read all three of them, but I will say that one of the things that she has been seeing online, and that I haven't seen it because I'm not on Shadow and Bone social media very much, but apparently there are some people who are complaining about the fact that it seemed like the crows overtook the story. And she was like, yeah, I know. And I, I feel like the crows were a huge part of the story. But one of the things that she was upset about, and when she said it, she made a valid point. You have this character, this female led show, a female minority led show, and her storyline literally gets pushed to the back burner for this other group of characters. And I was like, well, yeah, I can kind of understand that being upsetting. But
I mean, they most certainly did take over the show. I
yeah,
mean, most of the show is really driven by their actions more so than Elena's actions.
yeah. But I
I'm told it was the best part of the show.
I I do believe that, but I also I like the other version, the other story of the show, the Alina and Mal and Kirigan stuff, and just her finding her power, her finding her voice, even though some of the ways that she did it, I did have issues with. But for the most part, I do like her story about her, um, coming into her power, and like even at the end when Kirigan is saying, "Well, who's gonna save her? Who's gonna save you?" And she was like, "I don't need anybody to save me. I'll save myself." Mal is like, she won't need me to protect her. She'll have the whole country. And let's remember, the way they started out her story, she was the one protecting Mal all the time. So the fact that they kind of brought that full circle, like, okay, I don't need anyone to save me. Yes, she saved everyone, and well, most of the people in the church at the end. At what cost? That'll be a different story. But we talked about it in the last episode when I was talking about the changes they've made to the story from the books to the screen, and how they left this whole subplot out with the apparat and everything. We see him at the end of this episode, and I was like, yep, they're going to bring that whole storyline into a season 3 if they get a season 3. And it's going to change because now Alina's probably going to be, I won't necessarily say she's the bad guy yet, but we see at the end of this episode that spark is there now. Like everything Kirigan was
Yeah.
telling her towards the end, he was like, yeah, without anything to balance you, you're going to become me. And when I thought about it again, I was like, he's right. You have to have some balance. She doesn't have that darkness anymore as far as Kirigan goes. She doesn't have the thing that was kind of keeping her tethered on the light side, which was her relationship with Mal. So it's kind of like she's just out there now, feeling everything, able to experience everything. It's going to be interesting now, especially you have this new threat, and she now really is the only person who can probably deal with it. That's going to be interesting, you know?
Yeah, but I also think that, I mean, this is the typical way that villains are born. It's like they lose someone they love, they gain someone they love, and then they want to change things for the better in their opinion. And then once they get powerful, they decide that it's my way or the highway.
Yeah, their
I
way
mean, I
is
think
always
she,
the best way.
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
And I think
And-
that's one of the things, like, one of the things that I've said and complained about, and we've talked about over the course of this season, especially, is the fact that Alina had gotten to the point where she was starting to be like, I have to do this. I have to save Rafka. I'm the only one who can stop him. I. And it wasn't until she found out that Mal was the Firebird, and like even at the beginning of this episode, when she finally does have to kill him in order to destroy the fold, when she looks at Kirigan, she looks at him very defiantly, and she was like, we destroyed the fold. We did this together, her and Mal. And we talked about it in the last episode. The thing that separated Alina from Kirigan was the fact that although they both had people supporting them on both of their sides, Kirigan's side they supported him because of fear instead of love. Alina had people around her who loved her, who cared about her, but who also weren't afraid to stand up to her and tell her when they thought she wasn't doing something correctly. She had that sounding board to kind of hold her in place. Kirigan didn't have that. You know, yeah, he had it in Bagra, but I mean, Bagra is not the most, that's not the most positive influence you can have. So he didn't have that. And that was the thing that separated them. Now, most of her support system is gone. She has Nikolai, she has Genya, she has Zoya with her at the end, but everybody else is gone. She and Mal are no longer together because they, or I won't say they, he at least realized that, hey, this might have been the only reason why we were together, because we were destined. Let me go off, do my own thing, figure out who I am and what my purpose here is, and maybe I'll come back. But Mal is gone. Toya and Tamar are gone. Nadi is gone. Adric is gone. Inej is gone. The crows are gone. So it's like all of these people who were balancing Alina out, they've slowly and separately gone their own ways. And now she's just like, oh, okay. So now we got more amplification, more amplified Grisha. How? She doesn't know this yet. She doesn't realize that it's a drug that, causes them to do this. But now it's gotten to the point where she's going to have to be, quote unquote, the most powerful again to stop whatever this is that's about to tear Ravka apart. Because I have a feeling if you have that kind of drug, like whatever it was that she took before she did what she did in the church, this Grisha, it wasn't a lot. It was fast acting. Like she got up and just moved her hands and everybody started coughing up blood. And I was like, oh, this is some powerful shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you imagine Kirigan being on something like that, or Alina being something, on something like that? Nah. This is
I just
about
think
to
that
be way worse than, yeah. And I have a
you would almost
feeling, I don't know if I want to say Vladim is behind it, but he was the one who had Bagra stuff. And we don't know what happened to him at the end of the episode. He wasn't there fighting, I don't think. So I'm like,
he just kind of disappeared. Yeah, he just kind of slunk off into the shadows. So yeah,
He stuck
mm-hmm.
off into the shadows with the bones.
Mm-hmm. Sure did.
He did. So I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in Six of Crows because this storyline, the drug storyline, is I think the central plot for Six of Crows. Did I say Six of Bones earlier? Or did I say Six of Crows? I said Six of Bones now. Okay, so Six of Crows. But that Jurda Purim story is in Six of Crows. So I don't know how major it is. I just know I finally did start reading the books last week. I was at homesick for a couple of days. I read just a little bit, just kind of keep myself from being bored. And the first chapter dealt with um kind of like the experimentation of this drug with some Grisha. And then the second chapter was the introduction of the crows. And when I read that second chapter, I was like, Hasbrecker is a motherfucking beast. I cannot wait to actually sit down and be able to read this book, which I'm probably going to do on the beach next week. But oh my God, if
Mm-hmm.
that's the Cass Brecker I need to see if they do a Shadow and Bone spinoff. Like, if you don't read nothing else, read that second chapter. It's just, yeah. Anyway, okay. Let's get into some details about the episode, because we start out the episode. Of course, you have Nikolai's group. Is Nikolai, the twins, Nadia and her brother, um, and they are trying to go into the part of the fold that's over their I don't know what you want to call that. That is not a castle, is it?
It's a fort.
Fort. There you go. That's the word I'm thinking. So you have them in the fort. They're
Well,
going in.
technically, most castles are forts, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but that didn't look like, it doesn't look like a, like, you know, when you think of castles, you think of towers and turrets and all this other stuff. That this doesn't really have all of that. It does look like a fortress though. And they
Mhm.
do have like, you know, soldiers there and everything. So we'll just go with fortress. Even though it doesn't have a moat, it does have a moat.
It does have a moat.
It does have a moat. But anyway,
All castles are forts, but not all forts are castles.
There's a distinction.
there's a distinction, just like, you know, the distinction between pirates and
Pirate and privateer.
privateers.
Yes.
There's
There
a
is a distinction.
distinction. There is a clear line. Anyway, so Nikolai and his group are going in to look for Alina and her group because they're looking around like, why is the foe still here? Obviously, she hasn't had a chance to destroy it, or, you know, she started destroying it, and then Kirigan decided to get in his feelings. And, you know, where we left them last, he was on the ground, hurt by her cut. Mal was on the ground, hurt by Kirigan's cut. And so right now, Alina's just trying to keep Mal alive, and he's trying to tell her, look, you have to go ahead and let me go. You have to kill me. And she's still focused on him. Zoya and Inej are in the background fighting the Nichevoya. Nina is over in the fold somewhere, knocked out. So they've got all this stuff going on. And you know, Alina finally kills Mal. Or I won't say she doesn't kill him yet, because when Nina finally regains consciousness and goes over to him, you could hear he still has a little bit of a heartbeat. Like she said, he's putting up a fight, but it was like something was keeping him on the other side. But when I say, after she's already gone through all of this, and Kirigan is still getting up, still talking about, you know, oh yeah, look what you've done. Oh, let me be your monster. We can still. I was like, dude, she literally just killed her dude to stop you and your shit. And you still want to sit here talking about, you have to have me as your ballast. Let me be your monster. They will come after you and all this other plea. And I was like, Kirigan, just give it up. First of all, you're
It's not
dying.
happening.
You're dying. It's very clear you're dying. Second, you can't even control your Nichevoya anymore. Because when she pushed him down and that Nichevoya came out of him and grabbed her, he tried to stop it. That thing slung him back.
Right. He doesn't have control.
Uh-uh. At all at that point. He's too weak. You know, he's been cut. He's been cut by her cuts. He's not healing. He's already dying from the Nichevoya, and now the Nichevoya is not, you know, I would assume that as many as he's producing in these particular scenes, you know, you have the one that's inside the fort fighting against Nikolai and that group. When they try to, you know, when they try to hide from the Volker, they get cornered by one. There's like several here in this scene that Zoya and Inej are fighting, and Inej is actually destroying them with Nishenya, the blade. So I'm thinking that has to be taking away from his life energy as well, because those things are a part of him. So the more and more they destroy them, that he's losing his grip on them. And then when that last one comes out and he tries to stop it, that thing was like flicked him off like a flea. I was like, yeah, same thing we said at the beginning. At some point, you are not going to be able to control them, and then what? He was pretty much dead by that point. Then of course he has to have his little monologue, his closing monologue, where he's talking about how, you know, what did he say? He told Alina, because she said, you can't control them, can you? He said, I thought I could control it all once. And he was talking about how he thought at some point he had found a measure of peace. And of course, the peace was him possibly finding love with Alina, which he could have had he not gone the route that he had gone. And then, of
Yep.
course, she uses that opportunity to stab him. I was like, that's cold. But she didn't know what he was thinking. But still, I was like,
She's
that's
like, whatever.
cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, besides the fact that she is now where we started with him, like when we learned his story,
Mm-hmm.
that's where she is. Um, Ultimately, I know we like to say villains are the heroes of their own story, but he really was all about all about protecting his people, all about protecting the Grisha. I mean, he
Yeah.
really everything sort of started from that point, you know.
Yeah, but at
That's where
some
everything
point,
started. Then it turned into, well, the government is out to get us, and the only way to stop it is for me to take it over and be in
Mm-hmm.
charge.
mm-hmm.
You
And then
know,
it got to be about something else for him. It literally was towards the end. Yes, he was still talking about protecting the Grisha, but when you there's a difference,
he needed
I
the
feel like.
power. He
Yes.
needed more power,
Yeah.
and it became about the power than what he really wanted to do.
And
That's
domination.
where he kind of got lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of, unfortunately, you kind of see that same thing in Alina, where she needed all three of the things to fix the fold. Now the fold is gone. Now she's going to need more power. She's headed down that same path where
Mm-hmm.
eventually it's going to be about the power and not about what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and look, Kirigan tried to warn her. He's like, this is gonna happen. It's like he said you're gonna want to solve one thing, then something else is gonna come up, then you're gonna go solve that, and you're gonna need more and more power, and people are gonna see you as the enemy. And it's like it's gonna happen. It's like the more
Again.
that because she basically opened up everything where people can actually go explore more and try to conquer more. And then people are going to come to her and be like, "Oh, Saint Alina, please help us." And she's like, "All right," to them. Then they're going to be like, "What? Why'd you help them?" And then it's like going to be a whole big ass mess where she's going to have to end up just like if she's not going to be able to stay out of it because she's going to have to keep killing. And there's always going to be an enemy, and whenever she destroys that enemy, she'll become the enemy of the enemy. Yeah, the enemy of the enemy is something like
What
that. But
can
it's like
help?
it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, what can help the Grisha is fixing the land, like the materiality, the fabricators of Duras. They'll be able to, in the alchemy, they'll be able to help fix the land, like try to get everything. Because right now it's a desert.
Yeah.
There's nothing there, and it's going to take them to kind of, you know, bring life back to the area, and that will give them a lot of points with the people.
Yeah, but then part of the problem is because when you frame it in that way, it's kind of like, yes, I know the Grisha are the ones that have the power and they can probably fix it quickly. But then what happens is the Ravkins or the regular people will start depending on them for that. And if they don't produce, if they don't do it fast enough, if they don't do it the way they want it done, then all they're going to do is start turning on the Grisha again. And at the same time, why should the Grisha be the only ones fixing it? The Ravkins are going to have to hitch in. They're going to have to do their part. That's their country too.
Right.
And I just feel like it there might be a time when they are unified. That time is not going to be for long because of this new drug that's amplifying Grisha, because you still have Grisha out there who are probably going to be pissed off that Kirigan is gone, who are going to be pissed off that the fold is down, and they are going to be looking to blame Alina for it. And what's
Because
the
there's no one
best?
else to blame. I mean,
Right,
yeah.
right. And what's the best way to knock her off that pedestal, so to speak? You get Grisha with amplified power who who start wreaking havoc on shit. I mean, Nikolai's coronation, that was mostly Rafkins. That was mostly regular people. That wasn't a lot of Grisha, you
Mm.
know? And I think that's probably one of the reasons why it was targeted, is because there weren't going to be a lot of Grisha there. And I mean, by the time the Grisha that were there figured out what was going on, they couldn't do nothing. Zoya couldn't do anything. Genya couldn't do anything. So,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's like it's gonna be it's gonna get bad. Like in uh I mean I actually kind of feel bad for Alina because it's like when after she stabbed him and he said they're gonna come for you, and she had that defiant look and kind of snarled, "Let them come." I was like, oh God, here we go.
Yeah.
Like she's starting to feel that now. And then
Well,
it's like when
I didn't look at it in that way completely, because I feel like in a way, even though Kirigan was giving her a warning, it's still one of those things where Kirigan, again, he ruled in fear. And I think
mhm,
a lot of his power over Alina was that when he found her, she was in a vulnerable place. This is someone who never knew that they were Grisha. All of a sudden, she's, exposed to these powers. She has these powers. Now she realizes her life is a lie. All of this stuff, all this uncertainty is going on with her. And then as she starts getting more control of her powers, and he's like, okay, well, I need to control this, he starts using that, to feed off of her fear, her insecurities, and her doubts. So him saying to her, "Oh, they're going to come for you now," I feel like was as much a threat as it was a warning. Like he's trying to make her fear, and he's trying to make her regret doing this. Like, "Oh, they're going to come for you now, and you have nobody to protect you." And I think part of her saying, "Let them come," was, yes, in a way, feeling the power that's there. But at the same time, I think she really was like, they are not going to scare me. I'm not going to scare easy. I'm not going to be this quivering little girl from Karamzin anymore, letting other people tell me how to be, what to think, what to do. And I'm going to take charge of my life now. I really feel like that's kind of what she was saying to Kirigan.
yeah, but I still think a lot of that is I agree with you. I think is a lot of it is defiance, but I still think a lot that defiance comes from her knowing that there's really no one else more powerful than she is, and it's like the show of power that she just performed is basically like to say you don't want none of this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it'll set an example where people won't mess with her because she's like, oh, she's the one that got rid of the fold. They're either gonna be like, oh, we gotta get rid of her, or we either get rid of her, or we're gonna leave her alone. It's gonna be one of the two options.
Yeah. And it's, it's interesting too because of the way that she brought Mal back. I kind of, it's one of those things
The
where I feel
Marzos.
like, right, but like he wasn't dead yet. And when Nina was
I,
telling her,
I, I think
she's
he
like,
was dead.
huh?
He was dead.
He wasn't dead. You could hear his heartbeat. It was very, very slow. But that's why Nina was like, he's a tough bastard. He's fighting, but there's something holding him on the other side. Like he was teetering in between life and death. And when we saw him in the meadow, that was him basically trying to go to the other side, like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then you see him being snatched. And that was Alina bringing him back. But, you know, is it's one of those things where if she had just waited, and granted, I know she was panicking. I know she was scared she was going to lose him, especially when Nina was like, yeah, he's fighting, but something's pulling him away. If she had just waited a couple of seconds, maybe, just like when she was in the astral plane with Kirigan and she heard him calling for her, maybe if she had spoken up a little bit more, maybe if she had been a little more frantic, instead of, Mal, come back to me, she was so timid about it. It's almost like she had already given up that he was going to come back. Maybe if she had been a little more frantic, been a little bit louder, maybe he would have heard her and been like, oh, that's where I need to go. But we'll never know that now, because instead she decided to take a shortcut, or she decided to cheat and use Merzost. And again, Bagra told her, she even heard it in her head as she was getting ready to do it. Bagra made her promise never to use it, because you don't know what the cost will be. And not saying that this is necessarily like the worst thing that can happen to her, but what happened when you bring him back? You bring him back, and the person that he was is not quite there anymore. It's kind of like what Nikolai said when he was eulogizing, well, not eulogizing Kirigan, but giving his speech. He said, when a firebird rises from the ashes, it's not the same as it was before. And I know he was talking about Mal then, because this was something I didn't realize until I just rewatched it right before we started recording. When Kaz is having his conversation with Nina about what they're going to do afterwards, I didn't realize that Alina was in the background talking to Nikolai. And I think that's when she was probably telling him about how Mal was feeling about, not having a purpose anymore, not knowing who he is. And, she was probably like, I don't want him here if that's how he's going to feel. Like if he can't even be here because he doesn't know what his purpose is now, who wants, you know, we joking all this stuff about Mal and Alina and him just always being there, but do you really want somebody there who feels like they no longer have a purpose, and they're just there just for your comfort, your pleasure, your whatever? No, I don't
I
think
mean,
I don't think she, as selfish as she can be in certain times, I really truly do believe that she loves Mal. She wants what's best for him. And in this moment, it's not her. And I mean, for me, I felt that divide. When she went to go talk to him and he started talking to her about True North, it was just something in the way that they were communicating with each other. And you have to give it to Jessie May Lee and Archie Renault, because they really played like, for 2 seasons, you could feel the chemistry between these two characters and that they were so in love. And the moment he comes back, I felt like I could feel the divide between them. Not saying
See,
that.
he wasn't the only one that changed. She changed too.
Right, because she also did not feel that pull towards him. Now maybe yes, there is still love there, but it wasn't the type of love that they had before, because they were not connected in that mystical way, you know. And
The more nefarious thing is that she changed to the point where subconsciously she knows if he stays around, he won't let her do the things that she needs to do to get done what she wants to have done.
well, if I feel that, I just
Because I think the more I think she's gonna be. I think she's corrupted now. Like she's not. She's not who she was before.
I don't know if I feel like that's the case yet, because I think for Kirigan, he had to use Merzos in a huge way, meaning when he used the cut, he killed a whole bunch of people, not once, twice. He also created the fold. I think the corruption comes the more you use Merzos. And at this point, she had only used it once when she and Mal were having her conversation, when they were having those conversations. So I don't think it was to that point yet, but I think that she knew that Mal was not going to be fulfilled just being the captain of her army while she still did this marriage thing to Nikolai. And then again, like I said, they don't really say it explicitly, but I do feel like she does have feelings for Nikolai. Maybe nothing compared to what she had for Mal, but it's still something there, you know? And I just don't think that she would want Mal to sit there not having any purpose, not having any sense of who he is, not being able to be with her, just to be there to exist, just because, oh, okay, I saved you, you're supposed to be with me, like he said, I don't know what my purpose is. And she was like, you were meant to. And when he was like, be here for you, raise you up, do what you needed to do. And I think she realized that, and she was like, that's not one, it's not a balanced relationship. It
Or
would basically be similar to if she and Kirigan were together. Yes,
or
they're kind
she
of as
likes
equals.
she got him out the way because she likes men with power, because she ran to Kirigan in the beginning too when she was first with him. She's, oh, this guy got power. I like him.
But that no,
Start
but
kissing up
but
on
that's
him.
not what she did though. That's not what she did.
Mhm.
I don't know. When we had a little flashback, she was the one that went in for the kiss on
Yes, but how
Kirigan.
long had but that was something that happened gradually over months. And then also because one, she'd been cut off from all her friends, she'd been cut off from Mal. Kirigan
Oh,
literally had been sitting
I'm just
there.
giving her a hard time. I'm
I,
just giving
Yeah,
her a hard time.
she was just coming into her Romeo pimpdom.
There you go.
I don't even think Romeo Pimp was on her mind then.
Go ahead and say it,
It
Mike. Go ahead and
wasn't.
do it, Mike.
No,
Come on,
no.
Kirigan, baby. It could be just you and me, baby. Light and dark
Mm-mm,
together, baby. Just like
mm-mm.
yin and yang, baby. You feel that, baby? That's us, baby.
But yeah, when they started having that conversation, I really felt it like, okay, like he said, we'll never know if we were together because of destiny or if that was our true feelings. And it's kind of like you felt it. I can't. And there was something else. There was another show where somebody went through something similar to that, where it was like 1 minute they're this one thing and then the next minute they're not. And it's like you could see the very physical difference. Oh, I know what it is. Lori would laugh at me if she was here. It's a Vampire Diaries reference. When Bonnie's mother, who was a witch, got killed and brought back as a vampire, she was so despondent because as a witch, she was able to feel nature. She was able to feel the elements. And then once she turned to a vampire, she couldn't feel those things anymore. She felt like she was no longer the person that she was. That's what I thought about with Matt.
Okay, I got you. Ah, yes, yes, that's it.
You so silly. Like I said, you wouldn't get it, Lori would. So thank you for the Lori impersonation.
You gotta do something represent for the homie. Yeah, I think that. I mean, it really, if Mal would have stayed around, he would have been relegated to nothing more than almost derogatorily a pet. It's like he's just gonna be around, like
Mm-hmm,
following her like a lapdog, not doing
mm-hmm.
anything. And it's like that of all things that Mal is, Mal's nobody's sit around and not do anything lapdog. Like that's
No.
not in him. Even when he doesn't have his superior tracking skills anymore, he still is like he still has the air around him where he's like where he's like he's not an easy person to get over on. He's not an easy person to take advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
He's that he's in some ways that guy. Like he just kind of gives you that personality that he kind of lets you feel like he's the guy that can get you out of something, or he's that one last hope guy, and it's like that's what he is,
He
kind of.
seems to me like a person who, like, he says what's on his mind.
Yeah.
He's not one to cut corners. He's not one to mince words. And the fact that he could even have that conversation with Alina right then, right there, is like basically, I don't know what I'm doing here now. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here now. I almost was expecting him to say, I don't even know if I still love you now, which I mean, if he's looking at it the way he's looking at it, that could have very well been the thing. It could have been like, I don't feel that pull towards you anymore. I don't feel that love towards you. Granted, I don't think that's the case, but I think whatever that magnetism was between them, the thing that, like he said, always made it so that he could find her, that is gone. And granted, you still have those feelings, you still have that love, but now you have to figure out, okay, so is this like the romantic love that I thought it was all these years? Or is it something else? Am I meant to be somewhere else with someone else? And like you said, Mike, he's not nobody's lapdog.
Uh,
And I feel like he probably would have stayed there maybe a little while, just because at that moment he didn't know what else he was going to do.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do they say he's not the Firebird anymore? Like, is he not an amplifier anymore? He should still be an amplifier.
That's what he was saying when he was talking to her, and he said,
Like he could feel
you know what I
anything.
always said about True North, and
Oh,
she was
okay.
like, that's how you could always find home. He was
Yeah.
like, I don't feel it anymore. It left as I died. It
Okay.
left my body as I died. So basically, it's like
Because I think that's probably what happens to like when you kill an amplifier and the person that's taking the amplification gets the amplification. Like if something would happen that whoever whatever held the amplifier came back to life, it's like the amplification's gone. Like the person who killed whatever was possessing the amplifier got the amplification. They actually have the amplification now, so they can't have it back because they took it.
And the other thing, I think maybe again, this question came up, I think, when we discussed the last episode. We were talking about the amplifiers and whether or not they were, had sentient intelligence and knew what was going on. And we talked about the stag, knowing when to show itself. It showed itself to Mal, it showed itself to Alina, and it was basically giving Alina its power without her having to kill it. So it's kind of like, I feel like if Kirigan had not stepped in at that time and she was able to complete that transfer of power from what the stag was freely giving to her, would the stag have just been a regular stag after that? And I kind of feel like now that we see kind of what Mal is, he's like I don't want to say he's a shell of who he was, but he's not the same. There's obviously some part of him that's missing now. And that probably would have happened with the stag and with the sea whip if those things had lived after Alina had gotten its power. But you know, going back to Mal, yeah, he probably would have stayed there maybe for a few weeks, maybe for a few months, just because he needed time to figure out what to do. I mean, if you think about it, this last year, Mal has been through a lot. He's almost been killed how many times? He actually did pretty much die once. You know, the one thing that was um extraordinary about you is no longer there, and you're in the middle of this situation where the person that you loved is having to marry someone else to unite the countries. And it's that Matt went through a lot this year,
Yeah.
you know and
He's been through a lot in this whole series. It's like he's been lost, shot, found, lost again, shot again, found again,
but that's what I'm
kidnapped,
saying.
lost.
These two seasons have taken place over the course of about roughly a year. That's a lot. That's a
Yeah.
lot. And he probably would have stayed there and been like, okay, you know what? Let me just figure this out. I'll just sit here. But he would have been unhappy, and Alina would have seen and that would have made
Hmm.
her unhappy. But I think she paid attention to certain things, like the conversation that Nikolai and Mal had before they all separated, and Nikolai was going to Karamzin and they were staying behind. When what was it that Nikolai said to Mal? He said, hopefully when this is over, you know, um, we can have an ordinary life. Or he said something to Mal about living a long life, because again, they weren't expecting Mal to survive this. And Mal said an ordinary life with ordinary things. Alina kind of looked at him like, what? Because she had never heard him talk about that before. But that was a conversation he and Nikolai obviously had. And when Nikolai was giving his speech, just some of the things that he was saying and looking pointedly at Mal, like, okay, Firebird rising from the ashes, he's not the same. And that clearly fits Mal, because he's not the same person that he was. And he doesn't have any direction right now. And I think when Alina went to go talk to Nikolai and was like, yeah, he's not feeling this. I don't know what to do. Nikolai was probably like, hey, I have a suggestion. I don't know how you'll like it, but maybe we let him do this. See if he wants to live that life. I mean, Mal has said that he envied Sturmhond's life. That was something he would like to do because it was normal, it was adventurous. So, you know, when she brings it to him and he was like, "Is this your idea or his?" And she's like, "He's not the bad guy." And Mal was like, "Nope, he never was." The fact that someone can say, "Okay, you know what? Hey, let's just," I mean, in a way, they're trading lives. Nikolai is going to be right now by Alina's side because that really is what the country needed. And yes, that is kind of what her purpose in all of this was. If she were to go through all of this, do all of this stuff, go through the losses that they had and all of this, and just be like, "Okay, Mal, let's just pack up and leave and go somewhere else. We're gonna let them figure out how to reunite Rafka." It it would have it wouldn't have made sense. It would have been a waste of all of the things they went through and all of the deaths that happened. So yeah, Mal just, you gotta go be Sturmhond now. Which I'm not gonna lie,
That's
he looks good in that jacket. So
I mean, I'm actually for that with Mal, the twins, and what's her name? Damn.
Did you just forget
Nadia.
Inej's name?
I literally my mind went blank on Inej's name. I literally went blank. I don't know what happened.
What is wrong
And
with you?
I'm literally looking at her now. I'm like I'm reviewing the part where everybody's back from fighting. And I saw her. I'm like, oh, there's Inej looking at Kaz awkwardly, and she was in my mind, and I was like, yeah, it just blanked out. It just like it's like a TV just went. Bzz, bzz. I was like, the dang nabbit. But
Okay,
yeah, I would like to see that little side series, even if it's just like for 4 or 5 episodes, like that little Witcher Origins thing that they did. I
yeah,
wouldn't mind like 4 or 5 episodes of them on a flying boat righting wrongs. That's a hell of a team.
that sounds good. But since let's talk about your girl that you forgot now, since you brought her up, Inej.
Man, okay. Yeah, she needs to hold on to that. So I mean, I'm like, she's literally the right hand of the saint. Like she was, ooh, 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 ooh.
She was whooping
I
some
thoroughly
ass with
enjoyed
that
that.
thing. She was doing
Hmm
all her superhero poses and
Such
everything.
a poser.
But the one thing I did like about these fight scenes, especially in this episode, I can do more with a Zoya and a Inej team up. You can throw Nina into that mix. You could throw Alina into that mix. Give me a quarter. I get that. Give Yes, I will take it.
And think about it like this. She was actually fighting air. Like there's no shot. Like what was she did they I don't think they could have set up someone that they were fight. I mean, unless she was fighting someone in like a mocap suit, but it didn't look like that. It looked like she was just like swinging the sword in air. Because I haven't seen any
So
behind the scenes.
that is part of what she was doing, but also you have to remember that when the Nichivoya actually connect with something, they have to have a solid form. It's like when they touch something physically, it causes them to temporarily have physical form. So that's how she was able, because you could see it in certain shots when she's hitting it. You can actually see like a black form with like little gold specks whenever she would hit it, so you could see it, but you had to pay
Okay.
attention to it because that's what Adric said the first time the Niche Voyage showed up at the engagement party. He said they have to take physical form in order to actually grab something. So
Well,
yeah.
I was actually talking about like in real life, like as they were filming it. Like
Oh, I don't know. I don't know which ones were practical effects and which ones were. I mean, I'm assuming.
I'm
I do
assuming it
know
was
that
all CGI, probably.
it probably is yeah, but I
yeah,
do know that there was, if you see some of the behind the scenes stuff, you do see her kind of uh being pulled through the air through a harness, and you see her fighting a little bit, but I don't know. I'm assuming at some point they may have had to have someone there as like point of reference.
They probably
Right.
had the balls on the string to represent, like this is where their head is.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would have some reference point to swing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they fill all that stuff in later anyway.
Yeah, but whatever, it looked good.
It
She
looked
was
damn
kicking,
good.
but Zoya was over there holding her own up until that thing knocked her out.
Yeah, until she got the smackdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got the smackdown. But I mean, it's one thing we saw with Nadia and Adric, with them being squallers, they couldn't deal with the Nichevoya on their own. It was only when they teamed up that they were actually able to do some kind of damage or hold it off or kind of, dissipate it for a little bit before it came back. But those Nichevoya, at some point I was like, were they that big? Because I feel like they were smaller, and then they just, I don't know, as the series kind of went on, they got larger, or maybe as Kirigan's rage increased, they got larger. Because the
Or his
one,
control lessened.
Well, I think
oh
we've always
yeah,
seen him sort of in confined spaces too. Like we haven't really,
oh yes,
yeah,
True.
yes. Because the one that was inside the chapel with Nikolai and the twins and the crows, yeah, that one was, it was large, but it wasn't large like the ones in
they were
the
outside.
fold, yeah, that were
Yeah.
outside. But that one that was inside, Toya and Tamar were fighting it, and they were getting some chops in, but that thing was still big. And then when Nikolai tried to go after it, and it stabbed him, I was just sitting there like, oh, is this where they're about to do this? Because in the books, now that the season is over, I can say this: in the books, Nikolai is attacked by one of the Nichevoya. I believe it's in book 2, and he becomes this. It's I think it's similar to the Nichevoya. I have to go back and read the books. I've only read them once, but it was kind of like a cross between the Nichevoya and the Volcra. So he was this shadow monster, but he had the wings and he had the teeth, and he was actually a physical form. And it's like there were certain times when he was still present of mind, that they could speak to him and they knew he was in it. Like there was one time when he was kind of hovering over, Alina, and she looks at him and she's like, Nikolai, are you in there? And he reaches out like he's reaching for her, and he realizes that he has talons, and he takes off. So it's like he's aware that he's become this monster. He has, those moments of clarity. And I was like, are we not going to see that at all in this season? And then when they did what they did at the end, I was like, oh, okay, so we might get it. And then when we see the scene of him in the mirror, I was like, oh,
Ooh,
that's going to be
that's gonna be a
season
thing.
3. So, and I think that's also part of the story with King of Scars, which is the duology that focuses on his character after the events of Shadow and Bone. So he still is this monster a little bit, like it comes out every once in a while, and he's trying to hide the fact that he's this murderous monster, and still trying to keep his place as king, trying to keep Ravka together. That one I've only read like the first chapter too, but I was like, oh, so they're gonna do this in the next season if they have a season 3. Okay, cool. So, but when they did that, and he gets stabbed, I was just like, there's gonna have to be some consequences. Like I know this is the eighth, the last episode, this is the finale, but there has to be some consequences to that. Now, consequences meaning Nikolai has to take his shirt off, and okay, I can deal with those consequences.
Consequences and repercussions.
That's because
What
repercussions.
was it? I when Mike and I were watching all of the YouTube videos, there is a video of Patty Gibson, who plays Nikolai, Ben Barnes, and Jessie May Lee, and they're looking at the last scene of the episode, because Ben Barnes had never seen it. He said, "No, I
Mm-hmm.
stopped watching after I died." So So they're watching this scene, and it's the scene of Nikolai's coronation where the Grisha is coming through and she's killing everybody. And he's looking, he was like, oh my God, this is gross. I feel like I'm going to throw up. This is horrible. It's gross. It was very graphic. All of the blood, and that was very graphic. But at the end, or rather before all of that, when they show him taking the shirt off to look, both Ben and Jesse Lee was like, God, look at your abs. And nobody's going to pay attention to anything else in the rest of the scene. They're just going to be looking at your abs. But when they did this, and you see the little Merzost vines in his shoulder, I was like, is he about to turn into this monster now? Mm-hmm. And then the way that they did it with him looking in the mirror and seeing it, I was like, oh, I like this. Because it's like he's not quite the monster yet, but you know it's coming now. So I'm like, yes, they have to renew this show for season 3 because I need to see how they're going to do this storyline.
I need to see how they're going to find my girl somebody to fill that hole in her heart now. Genya.
Who? Inej?
Genya.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
I need for them to do something about that.
Okay. So here's
to put her pieces together again.
Here's my theory. You know what? Stop. Here's my theory.
What? Really?
I will spout a theory. I'm not like Anthony. Here's my theory. I have a feeling, because we did not see David's body when she came back up, even though she saw all of the destruction, she saw the blood. I have a feeling that what the Nichevoya did to Nikolai partially, I have a feeling David is going to be one of those shadow things. That's true, just kind of what I feel.
It's tried and true. If you don't see a body, they're not dead.
You don't see a body.
What's his contract status like?
Right?
They'll answer the question.
Like the Nichevoya, when we have seen them kill, there's always evidence of what they kill behind. Like they're not like the Volker. And even with the Volker, when the Volker is sitting there eating some of the people, it's not like they devour them whole. There's still evidence of something being left behind. That much blood on the wall. One, I don't see David walking out on his own accord and not being found at some point, because he wouldn't have been able to get that far with that kind of injury. There's no healers around. You know, everybody is basically fleeing for their lives, the ones who aren't already dead. I have a feeling David is going to be one of those things. So
I can see that.
But yeah,
I think that'd be cool. Like it'll be cool if he just like shows up at the last minute, if they're like someone's in trouble and he like constructs something real quick and is like saves them. Like, oh, hey David, what's up?
Nah, because you can't show up just like that, just unexpectedly with no recourse, especially like Anthony said, after the hole you put in Genya's heart, the way that she just broke when she realized he had the ring in the pocket and that he was, making the ring for her. No, you can't put somebody through that kind of heartbreak and then just show up and be like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm not dead. No, because I will kill you myself then. No. Yeah. I think that's probably what happened. He probably became one of those I don't even remember if those things had a specific name, but yeah, him and Nikolai, I think, are gonna be they're gonna have an interesting journey for season 3 when we get it. Let's say when. Let's speak that into existence. When we get it, they're gonna have an interesting journey. They are.
You're speaking as if he's gonna be alive.
Well, see, that's the thing, because like I said, in the books, Nikolai turned into one of those things, and I can't remember how they turned him back. I know it has something to do with Kirigan's death, but I don't remember if there was something else that happened to turn him back. But he did turn back human, but it didn't get rid of the monster completely. Like I said, there will be certain things, I think, that may trigger it to come out, or it's just one of those things where when it needs to feed, it would kind of take over his body. And
Maybe
then
maybe they're gonna, I don't know what happens in the book, but maybe whatever story they had intent that she had written for Nikolai, they're gonna make it for David instead.
I think it's going to be
And do
both,
something
probably.
different
Yeah.
with Nikolai.
I don't know, because with the way that they end it, I feel like that's still going to be part of Nikolai's story. Like, it's it's not going to be one of those things that takes over him immediately, because we don't know, again, we don't know what kind of time span we're looking at now. I seriously doubt if all of this stuff is happening within the same day, them saving Rafka, destroying the foe, Mal leaving, the others leaving, the coordinate. All of this has to, I would assume, take place over the span of at least a few weeks. Especially if you're looking at the map and um, you see where they started in, was it Rafka, and then where the ship is all the way to the west. They had to have been gone for at least a few weeks.
Mm.
So
If
this
I were
may,
writing it,
mm-hmm.
if I were writing it, they that's what would happen to David. He would change. They would figure out how to save David, and in order to figure out how they can save Nikolai from turning, since
Mm-hmm.
he's the king now.
Yeah.
So that would be, that's what I would do.
I, so like I said,
Instead of having duplicate storylines, because if you don't want to do the same thing for two characters, so you would use one character to help you save the other one.
yeah, unless Alina decides to use those shadow monsters to her advantage. But I'm just
I
saying, y'all the one
mean,
talking about Alina
I
being,
mean, her cut was a shadow; it wasn't light.
yeah,
So,
that is true.
exactly.
That
so
is
does
true.
that
So,
mean her children are going to be shadow? Whatever.
I don't know.
Her kid's gonna be like, she's the new Bagra.
I don't
I
know.
mean, it could be. I
Depends on
mean,
who she has kids with. Because in the books, if I'm not mistaken, and I was laughing because Anthony, you kind of sort of said something about this a few episodes ago, and I was like, did he read the books? So in the books, Alina and Mal, they end up together. Both of them end up losing their powers, and what they end up doing, is everybody thinks that Sancta Alina died the with the Darkling. She and Mal, they go back to Ketterdam and they run the orphanage. And it's kind of like one of those things where they're happy, but she feels like she's missing something, like a part of her is missing, kind of sort of the way Mal has verbally expressed how he feels in this episode. But that's how Alina is at the end of Shadow and Bone. And I know a lot of people, just once I finished reading the books and just started trying to see how people thought about it, I know a lot of people didn't like the ending for her, because they were like, oh, they just put, she basically has been relegated to being a house, a powerful woman who had to give up her powers for them, for love, and now she's relegated to being just a housewife. And I was like, okay, I can see how that would be irritating. Yeah. So they switched it up a
I
little
don't
bit.
know. I don't see Alina after feeling this power going back to being a housewife.
I
I
mean,
can't see it.
she you know what? If she gets to the point where her power starts to take over and make her evil, and she is cognizant enough of it to realize what she's doing before it's too late, and to say, I don't want to do this, I don't want to become this person, I don't want to be Kirigan, then I can see if that's a sacrifice that she feels she has to make in order to keep that darkness and evil at bay. I can see her making that decision. It's just the point of, what is it going to take for her to get to that point to say, I can't be this person, I can't have these powers, because if I do, I'm going to turn out to be another version of him. I'm just going to repeat the same mistakes. What is it going to take for her to have that realization?
And
So,
is it going to be too late when she realizes it? I
right,
mean,
right. So, I don't know about that. The Nikolai story will be an interesting one, especially if it is tied to David. Because like I said in the books, he is still king while he's dealing with the shadow thing, and there is somebody there on the sidelines who is helping him to manage this. And I don't know because I haven't read that far and I haven't looked at spoilers, but I think they actually end up together, which if that happens might make me happy. But I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to see what way the show plays it, if the show plays it at all. But
mhm.
okay, let's talk about Kaz and Inej.
Oh, these guys.
And we need to talk about that fucking deleted scene that they took out of the show and they put it on YouTube. The
That was some
goodbye
bullshit.
scene between Jesper and Inej that had me bawling.
Yeah, that was some bullshit.
Yet I
They could have
still
fit
watched
that in
it
there.
like 10 times in a row. No lie, no
They could have fit
exaggeration.
that in there. I don't
They
care.
could
They
have
could have
left it
fit
in
that shit
there.
in there.
It but it would have made that scene even more heartbreaking,
Mm.
you know? But
But I mean, of course, we're gonna have, I mean, they're just. It's just like that Geico commercial where the guy has the dollar on the fishing pole. He's like, it's like Indonesian cat's happy. Whoop, got to be quicker than that. Whoop, almost had it. Whoop. It's like because they know what we're doing. They know what we want. They know exactly what we want. We want these two to be together, despite everything. But but for once, they actually put something that would actually happen in real life, and something that actually made sense for them not to be together yet. It's like if he can't touch her, then she's like, I can't live like that until you get past all that. Then this can't happen. But
what was it she
when it
said? I will
happens,
have you without your armor, Cass Brecker, or I will not have you at all. I was
hmm
like, no, but at the same time, I understood her because
yeah,
when he first of all, the fact that he voluntarily grabbed her to keep her from walking out the door, same thing that happened in her dream. I was like, oh wait, what are we doing here? Then when she turns around and she grabs his arm, even though yes, he is fully clothed, he's gloved, you could see how much control and how much strength it was taking for him to not freak out. But I feel
hmm
like in that moment, he wanted what was about to happen more than he was repulsed by what was going on. He was really fighting for that because he had to show her that he really wanted her. And the sad thing is, when she was looking at him and she was saying those things, and what did she say? How will you have me? Clothes on. And then when she said, with your head turned so that our lips never touch, the moment she said touch, that's when he kind of backed off. He was like, it's too much. I was like, oh, Cass, you were doing so good. But we've already agreed Cass needs some therapy. He needs some therapy
Yeah, he
if he's
does.
gonna be with Inej. So
hmm
Cass, I need you to figure that out because when she said that to him, I will have you with your armor or not at all. He just looked at her and kind of slightly nodded, like, I understand, and it's one of those things where it's like when he had to sit there and collect himself when she left, I was like, it's probably taking everything he has in him to not freak out right now, but also not to be upset because it's like for someone like him to open up that much to Inej, like he didn't say a lot. That wasn't any undying declaration of love, but the things that he did do. He told her that he had been looking for her brother. He gave her the means to start. He told her that he wanted her. That's pretty much a fucking declaration of love for Cass Brecker. And it's something that we have never seen from him. So for him to be that close to get over that fear or that whatever insecurity, to tell her that much and it's still not happen. It's just one of those where it's just like, I need him to understand. I don't want him to be one of those things, one of those people where he's like, well, I tried and she didn't want me. No, I need Cass to take it for what it is. And I need him to work on himself so she can bring her ass back and we can get some Kinez content. Cause yes, I don't like that Geico commercial. And I didn't like being jerked around in this one, even though I knew it was gonna happen. And honestly, it was a beautiful scene. Still,
It
I was
was.
sitting there looking at my TV like, please let this happen. Please let this happen. And then it didn't happen. So I was upset. But
No, they knew what.
good for her for standing up and not compromising.
Right. And it's like it's like the opposite trope where she's like where she doesn't stay and she's like, okay, I'll help you through this and we'll be okay and we'll get through this together. And then they go through all kinds of stuff where he doesn't want to touch her and da 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 da.
Right.
She's like, no, 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 no.
Right.
Like
Because this is not her
I have things
problem
that
to
need
fix.
right.
Yeah.
She's like, this is what needs to happen. So once you do that, come find me. Then we can talk about it.
Right.
Till then, I'm out.
Shall we?
Whoop, gotta be quicker than that.
Shall we? That was funny. So yeah, so Inej is on the ship with Mal, aka New Sturmhond, and
Sturmhond 2.0.
Sturmhond
Exactly.
2.0. That's what we're gonna call him. And the
Okay, so
twins.
wait a minute. I want
Matthias.
to go back. I want to go back real quick and shout out to Jesper for executing one of the funniest cock blocks I've ever seen in my life. When Cass first sees Inej and they kind of have a moment, and Jesper like rushes past him, is like, hey, and spins her around, and
Because
Cass is like,
Kaz's face was so slight, but he was looking like so excited that she was there. He was looking happy, like he was getting ready to say something. Yeah, Jesper.
I was like, le coq bloc. Like, damn, dude. Like, sorry.
But Jesper seems to be doing good in the relationship department.
Oh, Jesper's fine. Wesper lives.
Yes, it
It's okay.
does. Lives together at that.
Hey, living and seeing.
That little scene was so funny because he's giving Wylan the key. And Wylan is like, what is it supposed to? Oh, wait, it's a key. Oh, wait, it's a key to here. Oh.
Like,
So
yeah, just
I'm glad somebody has their happy ending because Nina and Matthias, they're not getting it. Like Nina has gone through everything. She's gotten the pardon. She has gotten him pardon. All he has to do, what is it that Cass says? She has secured a pardon for herself and for her Fjerdan as well. All he has to do is stay out of trouble. And
that's not happening. You knew better.
Well,
we knew better.
When she said stay out of trouble, when he said stay out of trouble, you knew that. That was a pitfall.
You knew.
Nope.
And that's what happens. He goes to Pekka Rollins because he's still having his flashbacks. He's going in between missing Nina and hating her because he still thinks that she did this on purpose, but he's still reminiscing about them being together. He was like, look, I can't do this anymore. He goes to Pekka. He's like, look, put me in the fights. Pekka was like, yeah, we'll make some money. I don't give a fuck about your money. You can keep your money. I just don't want to feel like this anymore. Pekka's like, okay, then somebody will hurt.
He's like, yeah, I could use this. Really, to the one person that could, the head manipulator, the most manipulative person in this show, you give him ammunition to manipulate you with.
But
but
Matthias doesn't know that. He doesn't know anything about Pekka in that sense. And just like even when he tells him he wants to put him in the
You think so? You think he can't recognize Pekka Rollins for what he is?
I don't think he really cares enough about Pekka Rollins to pay attention in that sense. Matthias is, you have to remember, Matthias is a different breed.
Linear, straight line, black, white.
Yeah. He's not paying attention to Pekka. He's just like, okay, I know that this is a guy who who is a means to an end. Okay, I just don't want to feel this anymore. Put me in a fight.
I don't
Let
know
me
when he
fight. Let me
when
get some of this out. And even when Pekka says, well, somebody's been paying to keep you out of the fights. My guess is it's Cass Brecker. He was like, I don't know who this person is. It doesn't even occur to him to ask, why would this Cass Brecker keep me out of the fights? Like, why does he care about me? He doesn't even think to ask that. And Pekka, once Pekka, I feel like once he realizes that Matthias has no connection to Cass, like, again, Matthias don't care. He was like, I don't even know who this person is. Oh, okay. So let's just go on ahead and I'm just gonna take out my anger on you because your little girlfriend and her little friends, they put me in here. So I'm just gonna fuck you up. And what does he do? He puts him in the ring, but doesn't put him in the ring with another person. He brings the two wolves in, the two symbols of his commitment to jail. And
mm,
Matthias is like, I'm not doing this. I'm not fighting. And he gets on his knees. And what was it? I think it was you, Michael, that said it. When he walked up
mm-hmm.
to those wolves and he made that connection, those wolves turned around, they stood next to him, they started growling at everybody else. They're like, we ain't finna fight him, we finna fight y'all.
It's like
And at
he's the
this
one that he
moment, Nina
that's
is
what
coming
happens.
in. She's got the papers. She calls to the guard. She's like, look, he's been pardoned. You have to stop this. And I guess this guard is right on back in Pekka's wallet because, I mean, Pekka's right there. So it's not like he can be sneaky and do stuff behind Pekka's back anymore. Pekka's right there in his face. So he's like, yeah, no, this can't stop. You just have to sit here and watch. So she sits there, she watches them fight. And as Matthias is on his knees with the wolves growling at the guards are coming after him. They start getting ready to like um be abusive towards the wolves, and he's like, look, y'all can do whatever you want to me, leave them alone. They're like, whatever, fuck you. They get ready to abuse the wolves, and I guess Matthias is like, you know what, fuck this. He picks up there's like a little knife or something that one of the guards had on the end, on the end of his whip. He picks it up, stabs the guard. I was like, oh, there goes staying out of trouble. He starts fighting. Nina starts hollering for him because she was like, Matthias, stop. Then she starts hollering at Pekka. I'm like, Nina, you are not helping the situation by making yourself known to Pekka Rollins in that moment. Y'all fucked Pekka up. You think he don't know what he's doing? But then towards the end, when they finally get control of Matthias, they're taking Nina away because, of course, Pekka's like, get that woman out of here. When she calls to him and he sees her, I think in that moment, that's when he realizes, okay, you know what? She didn't set me up because that's now twice that she has come to see him. If that was something that she had set up or she didn't care about him, she would have just let it go the first time he ignored her, at least maybe in his, like you said, Anthony, his focused mind, that was what he think. Because you got to remember, his view of women and how they act is totally different from how Nina is, because he was raised on this very narrow view of women in his country. The fact that she came back and she's calling out for him and they're taking her away, he was like, oh, y'all better get your hands off my woman. But of course,
It's too late.
Late now.
it's too late.
It's too late.
I love the symbolism of her dropping the pardon and it getting stomped on and crushed under everybody. It's like I was like, oh, that
Well, it doesn't
sucks.
matter because she's on first name basis with the king. She can just go say, you know what? I tried to get him out and this is what happened. Can you, like write me up another one of those pardons? I don't think Nikolai would mind.
Yeah, but still.
I don't think he would mind.
I'm, Matthias doesn't see black and white, but he saw red and you know green a couple times, like
you know,
in his flashbacks.
but let's see. Alina, Zoya, and Genya being besties. that
Charlie's
looks like
Angels up in his piece. I was like,
that looks
okay.
like it's gonna be so much trouble. That's
There's
gonna
so
be
many there's so many spinoffs that they could do with all these people. It's like damn. I would literally watch Genya, Zoya, and I'd watch the three of them go on wacky adventures. And yeah, I'm kind of down for that,
so
actually.
I wonder how they're gonna figure in if Alina is going all dark side, like are they gonna be able to pull her out of that? Probably not. They're probably gonna have to send word to Mal and be like, "Get your ass back here because your girl done lost her mind." But you know, I like I like their friendship. I like the fact that they have all overcome these odds to have each other's back and to be supportive of each other. I like seeing that on screen. You
Yeah.
know, um, what is the other thing? Oh, Kirigan's funeral. That poor thing. I will say this. One thing I do like about the show better than the book, because in the book, Alina's Alina's relationship with Kirigan was always complicated, but in the book, it made it seem like she still had feelings for him and that she still kind of sort of maybe loved him, even all the way up till the end. And I just, that didn't sit right with me because of the way he was with her in book one and season one, and how he just kind of, oh, exerted control over her body and her powers and all this other stuff. I just didn't like it. So I like the fact that it didn't seem that way. Like, I know her feelings for him are complicated, but at no point did it seem like she was considering anything he ever told her. Like, she considered it to the point, like when he was like, "You'll be all alone," and this, that, and the other. I think she was upset because she realized at that point, yes, she was going to be alone because Mal was gone, or so she thought at the time, and she was never going to be with Kirigan. So I think, maybe that was kind of what was making her upset. But I like the fact that she was able to do what she needed to do with him and have no remorse, have no regret. And it wasn't one of those, "Oh, if only you had done this, we could have," none of that. Like, she never said anything like that to him. Bagger said it. Bagger was like, "Yeah, you could have had her love if you wasn't an ass." But I feel like he got the end that he deserved. And I don't know, I'm gonna miss seeing Ben Barnes, but I mean,
Oh, I'm sure he'll be back, if only in flashbacks.
In dream
flashbacks, or
sequences.
I think
maybe
he's gonna.
visions.
I think he's gonna come to her in visions. I
Yeah,
think.
just like
Yeah.
like part of her subconscious, just kind
Hmm.
of, especially if she starts going dark side, he's
No,
Hmm.
gonna
she's
be
already
there
using the
to
dark.
taunt her.
He's gonna not if not taunt her, he's sort of gonna like push her in that direction. Like how easy it. She's gonna be like, see how easy it is.
Hmm.
You know, it's like Yoda
Well, I
says,
told
easy
you.
is the dark side of the Force.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you paraphrasing?
Yes,
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
I'm paraphrasing.
But
Um.
let's
Yeah.
see.
I can't. I don't want. As much as I like Ben Barnes, they don't. I don't want them to. I don't want them to bring him back, even though I know they're going to, because I'm sick of the surprised to see me trope, where it's like someone dies and then they appear in like a vision over the course of time, and like they're tempting him, and you're like,
Bro,
you
you
know,
watching
you know.
fantasy.
First of all, you're watching a YA show based on
I
YA lit,
I
which
realize
is
what I'm
built
watching,
on the
sir.
backbone of tropes. It
I
is a
realize
trope
what I'm watching,
itself.
sir. I realize
So,
what I'm watching. I'm just saying I'm not looking forward
Just like
to
having the
rolling my
good
eyes and
person turn bad.
yeah, I know. It just, I mean, I'm just not looking forward to rolling my eyes and sighing because I heard they can get stuck like that if you roll them too much. And it's like,
I just, if they have him come back, I just don't want them to overuse it. Kind of like,
yeah.
oh, Michelle will agree with me on this one. like they did with Outlander, with one of their dead characters. Last season, they brought him back as a figment of Claire's imagination. And oh my God, when I say it was overkill, I was like, okay, I understand the character has a huge impact on her trauma response and all that, but I am so sick of seeing his face. I don't want to get like that with Kirigan. Like, if he has to make an appearance, make it make sense and make it scarce. It does not have to be every episode. It, yeah, it, yeah, no. Anthony's got his lips pursed, like, yeah, that's what's gonna
You
happen.
know it's gonna happen. Come on. You
Still,
know it's gonna happen.
we ain't got to
There's
be
only
happy
two
about it.
things.
You know it's gonna.
There's only two things that can happen, right? One, he comes back as like her conscious, like talking to her or whatever. Or two, he comes back in form.
I don't think they're gonna do that.
Because,
What
if
if, because he told them to get rid of every semblance of him. What if they don't get rid of every semblance of him?
yeah, and then you got, Nikolai about damn near turning into a Nitrovoya. Then you got David out there somewhere.
And you got what's his name, Vadim. You got Vadim out there somewhere who's probably going to be digging through the ashes looking for us a random bone or something. So it's
Right.
like
Because all the elements are there for him to
yeah.
make a return.
You see Vadim like, arise, my dark lord, arise, my dark lord.
No,
And it's like,
he probably went and
Right.
found some of Kirigan's ashes, and that's how the
Oh my,
Jurda Purim is being
you
oh,
got
oh
theory?
my God. You
You
just
got
told
theory?
me all he needs is the blood of a relative and the blood of the person that killed him. Harry Potter all over again. It's the same shit. Here
no,
you go.
we are
You got it.
not doing
He
the
is coming
resurrection
back.
spell for vote. We are not
Yes.
having a baby more in this show. No.
Yes. Oh my God. It's the same freaking story because now, he's dead, but he ain't really dead. He's like in some weird physical form roaming around because, the Nitrovoya are actually extensions of his subconscious. So they have all his memories and feelings and emotions. So now all you need is a resurrection spell. And the person that killed him and a relative, they're still alive. Oh my God, it's so clear.
How do you spell Horcrux in Rovkin?
Oh my God. I have solved the show.
That's an
Kirigan is
absolute.
coming back.
That's
He
that
is
that is a
coming back. Yes, he
that's a
is.
near foolproof theory, Anthony. Good
Yes,
job.
it is. I will, you know what? It is a theory. Write it down. This is a theory. Mark it
Ooh,
down. I am
let
back
Bookmark
me
it.
let
because
me
I
mark
am
the
right. I know
timestamp,
I'm
Bookmark
right.
Wylan.
I
it.
know I'm right. He's gonna come back. Ben Barnes one is too good of an actor. And two, this is a typical YA trope. It happened in Harry Potter. It's gonna happen in this one.
So do you think they would use David's body to bring him back? Or use David? Like maybe he would possess David, or
Yeah,
inhabit David's.
that he will possess him like Voldemort possessed Professor Quirrell. Uh huh. Uh
or
huh.
Vadim,
Yeah.
or I got it. I
They're,
got it. I know what's
she
gonna happen.
combine. They're gonna combine the two things, so they're gonna have like a Professor Quirrell story, but he's gonna have to like figure out a way to get because he wants his physical form back, and he's
No,
gonna
I,
need the blood of the person that killed him and the blood of a relative. It's the
And the
same thing.
apparat is Peter Pettigrew.
I got it.
Now that's a bridge
Vadim
too far.
Vadim is gonna become
No,
Tom
no,
Riddle.
because I
And
mean, if you think about it, like I said in the books, the apparat is basically like the leader of a cult. He is the leader of a cult that worships Alina, like culty cult. If he and yeah, he might, especially if Alina is quote unquote going to the dark side. Maybe he might try to do that to be like, okay, well, somebody needs to stop her. Well, who's strong enough to stop the Sun Summoner? The Darkling.
The Darkling. There you go.
well, no, I'm just
You're
waiting
gonna
to see
crack code.
if I want to see wait to see Vadim like pull up his long hair and have Kirigan's face on the back of his head.
No, he's gonna have David in a cage on a cartwheel being pulled by a horse. He's going to be in there locked up. Let me out! Let me out! You know,
like the God Killer was in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Uh,
He had them kids
exactly,
in the
why would you remind me of that? Oh my god.
exactly, exactly. It's going to be. Oh
Okay,
my
so
god!
so
Oh my
so
god!
basically we just spelled out all of season 3 for Shadow and Bone and we figured it out.
We have papers.
Season three will be the main plot will be the drug. The subplot will be, is Kirigan really gone?
Okay.
Because David is going to be out, not realizing that he's halfway possessed. He's going to be doing stupid stuff because Kirigan is in his brain. He doesn't know why. And he's going to be doing all these stupid things. And he's going to be
Yep.
like, why am I doing this? And why am I not going back to Genya? No, you can't go back to Genya. We
And
have
he
to
looks
do
in
it
the mirror, he's
over.
like, what? And there's Kirigan standing looking at him. Ah!
And I bet you Morzova has more than one journal. There's probably other journals, and he's going to look for
Oh yeah,
journals,
they've said
how
as
to
much that he
resurrect,
had more
right,
journals out there,
right, how
but
to resurrect himself, how to bring himself back.
Yeah, because if you know anything about mad scientists, they love writing shit down and being very loquacious, being very verbacious and loquacious in their words, and just writing 100,000 page shits and just like saving them and putting them aside because when you're mad, you have ideas on top of ideas and you forget them, so you have to write them down somewhere. So of course, they're probably like 7 or 8 or 10 volumes of mad ramblings from this
Yeah,
dude
because
somewhere.
he was
well,
probably like,
most of them
we may be,
supposedly
we may
were
be
in the
immortal, but we can die. So how can I make sure if I die, I can come back? So he experiments on bringing other things back because he wants to figure out how to bring himself back. And so that's how
that does make sense.
Kirigan is going to find a journal. Oh, sorry, David slash Kirigan is going to be looking for the answer
Or
to that question
Blottom.
with Vladim. He's going to find Vladim, like, it's me. And Vladim's like, who are you? It's me. He's like, oh my God, it's Kirigan. No, my name is David, but it's me. I'm telling you.
Wait, all of a sudden we're in Ghostbusters 2? How did that happen?
Exactly. Yes. She is like the writers, like the reference, they're referencing everything. They're gonna use everything to bring him back.
Okay, so now I'm curious for I'm just ready for this to come back just to see how much of this is like on the nose and how much we're gonna have to replay this when season 3 comes back just to be like, okay,
I think
so we hit the nail on the head here, here, and here, and we were so far off the mark that we might as well have been another solar system here. So it'll
I don't know.
be
I think I
interesting.
think I think he has pretty sound reasoning behind his theory. I
Because
think so.
who's gonna be the villain? Like who's gonna be the big bad? Is gonna be the apparat? Come on now.
I'm just saying he's
Is
a means to an end.
it's gonna look like one thing. They're gonna do the old bait and switch. It's gonna look like one thing, but in actuality, the real person behind the scenes is David slash Kirigan.
I See, I don't know because like I know you're saying what was it you just said, like who's gonna be the real villain, the apparat, but we said this last season, the apparat is or we said this when we were talking about House of the Dragon, the apparat is given very, very big Laris Strong vibes. Very much so. Like he doesn't look like much,
The
but he is the
smarmiest of the
master,
smarmiest.
right? And he's so like, how did he survive all of that other stuff? Like, where was he
He
when?
just stepped back and just be like, I'm gonna watch all this play out and see and deal with the fallout after that.
Right?
Just
Because
just
like
step
where?
back. That's
Because
what
like
happened.
where was he during Nikolai and Alina's engagement party? Where was he during the dinner where it was
Um,
announced? Like the apparat was always
First of all,
skulking around somewhere.
the apparatus smart enough to know that that's not the place I want to be while Kirigan is still stalking around. Oh, we're gonna put all the important people in one place at the same time.
Well, yeah,
Okay, I'm not gonna be there.
yeah, that's true. But
Y'all come see me when after the engagement announcement back at the palace. I'll be at
yeah,
the big palace.
yeah, I have a feeling he's going to play a big part because you can't have him. gone for the entire second season just to bring him back in the last 5 minutes of the show and that not mean something. Oh, here's something else. I have to go back and look at the season because I feel like I saw this in another one of the episodes and I know it has to be significant because it was something so minor that was just out of the blue that I'm like, that has to mean something. The fly that landed on Zoya's kefta during Kirigan's funeral. When have you ever seen an insect or anybody like swatting at an insect in any show? That thing was very noticeable. They literally made it buzz. You could hear the buzzing. It lands on Zoya's kefta and she moves it away. I don't know. Maybe that was Kirigan. I don't know. Maybe he was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to die and I'm just going to put my essence in this insect. I don't know. But there's something significant about that fly. Mark my words.
Maybe the fly took enough of Kirigan away that when someone catches the fly, they can actually do something with the fly.
I don't know if I feel like that's it, but something is important about that fly. I
Or
don't know
maybe
what it
maybe they'll
is.
maybe they'll put the fly in this one little cylinder and then have another bigger cylinder over here. Then they run electricity through it, and when it comes through the other cylinder, instead of Ben Barnes, it's Jeff Goldblum coming out. It's
I
like a
knew
reverse
that
fly.
was where you were going with this joke, which is why I put my head in my hands because I was like, he is not
See, it's
about
the
to
big
make
switch up.
a fly
Okay,
reference.
look, both of y'all can't do it at the same time. That's just disrespectful. I know. Look, I had to
Oh
go for it. Yeah,
God.
I went for it. And I'm proud of it. I like that joke, so I
Oh,
don't care.
And for a penny,
Anyway,
and for a pound,
I mean,
all
it's
the way.
possible. You're right, but see, it's just like we say. They never show something without there being a reason for showing it, and that's a fly. So it's like, why would they focus on a fly at Kirigan's funeral?
to the
There's a
point where
purpose for
you
it.
where you focusing on Zoe looking at it and being like, "Get away from me." I was like, "What's up with the fly?" And I was like, "Okay, we've already seen insects in the form of butterflies meaning something more than they were." I was like, "Okay, this is something that we need to pay attention to." I don't know why, but I feel like it's something we need to pay attention to. So,
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come up later.
so overall, Anthony, since you were the most skeptical of us all going into the second season, how do you feel about the show now? What were your likes and dislikes?
Well, it started off pretty weak, but as it gained momentum and the pacing got better, it finished pretty strong. Um, just the right amount of Jesper, because sometimes I feel like they try too hard to make him like the best comic relief ever,
Mm-hmm.
and then like this just ultimate slayer. Well, they kind of brought him back a little bit, brought him back to reality, gave you a little bit more story about him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do believe that they really did make it more of a Six of Crows show the second half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you did all the Alina stuff searching for the amplifiers. We were done after the first couple of episodes for the
Yeah.
most part. Um, but I overall I was pretty okay with this season. I mean, it was much better than I thought it would be.
Okay.
But it ended strong.
Okay.
And it made me more interested in the lore. It's very hard to resist the urge to go online and look up everything that happens in the books.
Just
So
be careful because you will
I
get some
just
spoilers.
it's hard, without, you know, like I was doing something once and saw that Bagger had other kids. I was like, let me stop.
Wait, what? See, I
Oh,
didn't know that.
see, that's what happens when you start looking stuff up. So
Yeah.
I made myself not look anything up. So
Yeah. When we were I forgot what it was we were looking up last week. I was looking at something on Wikipedia. I think probably about the Jurda parent. No, I was looking up Jesper's mother. And then there was something else we were talking about, probably about the drug, which I didn't mean to look up, but it showed itself on its page. I know what it was. we were talking about the different classifications of Grisha and what they could and couldn't do. So one of the things that I found out was with the Jurda Purim, it not only amplifies, but it changes some of their powers. And I think maybe it was Mike.
It was me.
It was you.
Me
Because we were
about
talking about one of the people, and I was like,
yeah,
yeah.
about Nina, and I was like, yeah.
Oh,
Mm.
wait. Oh my God. That ties into everything we just said about third season. Wait. Okay.
See,
We'll,
that's why you can't look anything
we'll
up.
have a side. We'll have a sidebar because Mike has no idea what I'm talking about. You and I will have a sidebar, but oh my God, like yeah, we're definitely going to have to revisit this episode when season 3 comes out. When season 3, you hear me, Netflix? When season 3 comes out and when the Six of Crows spinoff happens. But we're going to have to revisit this particular episode because, ooh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, Mike, how are you feeling
Yeah.
about this season?
For a more positive spin on it, I love this season.
That
This
was
season was freaking awful.
Was positive? Anything negative to say?
Yeah,
whatever,
whatever.
whatever.
I I thoroughly love this season. I love the season more than the first one. I'm glad they could build on it instead of having a letdown. I'm glad that a lot of things got fleshed out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love Nikolai's character. I love the twins. I basically love everyone that they introduced. I
Yeah.
think really adds to the story, and I'm really looking forward to the next season. Especially, I really want to see how Nikolai being potentially being a shadow demon is going to play out. I really want to see how that works.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm this is really going to be I'm this is one of the shows that I'm really looking forward to seeing again. So yeah, this season did it for me, and I'm still so anxious about Alina. Like that friggin' smile, man.
That
That
smile
friggin'
was
smile.
crazy
I was like, no, man, uh.
because it came up so subtly. And then it was just kind of like, they're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
she was like, ooh, yeah, I like this. I was like, oh
yeah.
shit,
Ben
here we
Barnes was
go.
like, so you guys are the villains now? They were like, yeah, pretty much. He was like, my work is done. And he walked off. He walked off that little interview. That
Yeah,
was funny. But yeah,
yeah,
it just, I actually really love this season. Like I said, I love the characters. Alina did get on my nerves a little bit, but overall, I love where her character has gone. And y'all know me, I'm a sucker for a love story, so I just want her to have her happy ending, regardless of whether that's with Mal or whether it's just kind of off on her own, doing her own thing, whatever. Um, like I said, I like the girl power aspect that we saw. I really want to see more of that with Zoya and Genya and Alina and Inej and Nina. I mean, just I mean, we have so many strong characters on this show. That's one of the things I will say this show absolutely did do right as far as the characters and with the casting. They did a great job, and
yeah.
you can just really see the chemistry with this cast, even in interviews, but also on the show with these characters. Um, it's just the right amount of everything. Even the bad characters is like, we know we're supposed to hate them, but still, I like what they're doing as those characters. Pekka Rollins is just, oh, he's so disgusting and he's such an asshole. But I'm just like, I want to see what he's gonna do next season because he's not staying in Hellgate for long. He already has plans on top of plans on top of plans, and Matthias is just a means to an end. So I kind of want to see how that's gonna go. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think for me as well, going into the third season, I really want to see what they're gonna do with this Nikolai storyline, and if it's going to pull from the books, which by season 3 I should have read all of these books. That is my goal for this year, is to make sure I have everything read. I also have there's a graphic novel about Alexander's backstory that I got for Christmas. I'm gonna read that, and then I also bought the Book of the Saints. So I'm gonna go through that. I'm gonna be a Grishaverse expert by the time season 3 comes. That is my goal. That is my plan. I want to be able to answer all the questions and know all the things about all this extensive list of Grisha and what their powers are, what they can do, and yeah, that's my goal for next season. So
Yeah. Shout out to Jesper for running down titles of future books when he was like we should get someone to write down. It's like the four charming rogues of Ketterdam. He's like Kaz was
and
like,
then Cass was
there's
like, "There's
five
five
of
of
us.
us." Oh, the five of, and I was trying to figure out, was he about to say the five of crows? Because they cut him off right when he said. I was like, was he about to say five of crows? I think that was the shoe in for the spinoff.
That was
So
perfect.
hopefully,
But see, he said, but they spelled it Ke
I
on
know,
the
but you know
on.
what? One thing I have learned is that these closed captionists are not always accurate and reliable.
They can be
So
very misleading.
they can be
Yeah.
very misleading. So we're not going to pay attention to that. He's probably going to say five of crows, but then Matthias, Matthias has to get out of Hellgate next season because yeah, I understand why he was there, and I understand in the first season they were like, yeah, you think he's going to be there for 6 months? Nah, he's going to be there for a minute.
That was the weakest storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Him being in Hellgate was absolutely pointless.
Yeah.
Well, see,
You really could have taken it out of the. I didn't want to go negative. You really could have taken that whole thing out of the show, and it really wouldn't have changed anything.
or just had it in like the last couple episodes because it's like you stretched out him fighting twice over 8 episodes, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
nobody cares about what he does in jail, about him sitting in jail and talking
We
to people
want
and
him
making whatever.
out.
And he had
Right,
no character development. Like
right.
I thought maybe this would be like a Zorro thing, not
No.
Zorro, not either
Count of
Zorro
Monte
or
Cristo.
Count of Monte Cristo.
Monte Cristo.
Mm-hmm.
One of the two.
Yeah.
It didn't do either one.
Yeah.
He's exactly the same as when he went in.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's another relationship that we didn't really get a payoff on either, because it's like everyone thought that oh they're gonna find a way to break him out, then they're gonna be then it's like nope, he's
Yeah.
still fucking in there,
Yeah.
and he's not getting out till maybe next season,
And
maybe.
that is a huge waste of Callahan Scotland. So they need to fix that next season.
Yeah. And
That's a
then if
huge,
they
huge, huge
and then
that's a huge waste of partially naked Nina too. But I digress. Go ahead.
the whole breakout, if they do break him out after Cass said I can't do it, and then you're gonna come back, and if you do it in the season, then it's like okay, so you only said that because y'all want to do this other thing. But oh no, in fact, Nina, yeah, we can break him out.
No, it might be that at the time that Cass said that he may really have thought that they couldn't do it. But of course now Cass has a little more experience under his belt. He has the dregs now um under his, employ. So he may be able to do it. Oh, that's the other thing. So Cass now has become a reputable. Well, I'm not gonna say he wasn't reputable before, but he has a new Crows Club. He took over Per Haskell's joint, and he sent some of his guys. He was like, go to the brothels, offer to buy the indenture of any girl who wants an honest paying job, no skin trade. They're gonna be working for a salary. I was like, okay, come on, Cass. Like he has to figure out some way to honor Inej while she's not there. But I think she would be proud of him for doing that. So,
Mm-hmm.
because I remember in the first season, she tried to get him to buy the indenture of another girl, and she was like, she's just like me. He was like, there's no one like you. And he wouldn't even consider it. And now that he's doing it just whatever. I mean, then again, I guess whatever Nikolai paid him, it was probably twice what they got paid for the original Steal the Sun Summoner thing. So yeah, I have a feeling Kaz is sitting very pretty right now. So and Pekka Rollins is not there to strong arm him. people in the barrel pretty much know Cass Bricker is not one to be fucked with, just as per Haskell. So, yeah. But I guess that will be it for our season 2 discussion of Shadow and Bone. As we get more developments, we will update everyone once we find out if there's going to be a season 3 and or a Six of Crows spinoff. The only other thing I want to mention before we leave is that I put out a post earlier today about it being my birthday season. Taurus season is here. And the only thing I said was that I wanted people to like support the podcast by liking, following, sharing, donating to help us cover some of our costs. And we did get a donation today from our very faithful listener, Carlos. So thank you, Carlos, for your donation. Thank you for always supporting the podcast. We love you and we thank you and we appreciate you. And for anyone else who would like to donate and support us, please go to our website, www.fandomhybrid.com, and click on the donate button. You can donate to us through Buy Me a Coffee. You can donate to us on our Anchor banner, which is now podcasters for Spotify for podcasters. And you can also send us a donation through PayPal. So if you would like to do that, we would appreciate it. We thank you guys for listening to us. And that is it for our show. As I mentioned, you can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fandom Hybrid. We have a Discord channel you can chat with us on. We have a YouTube channel that you can watch our videos on, and you can listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.